Hey Kerbal Space fans, how's everybody doing? So, let's jump right in here. So what we're doing today is we are making one of the simplest SSTOs I know how to make with the new patch. So I was kind of freaking out for a while, had a hard time getting, SSTOs to work, was trying to figure everything out, all the atmospheric stuff changed dramatically, where the atmosphere gets thicker and thinner and how things glide and the heat and everything was kind of overwhelming me, but kept at it, kept watching videos, and of course, you know what I'm gonna say, watching one of Veyos's videos really cracked it for me, really helped me finish what I was missing. What I was missing was a good flight plan. I was trying different ways, and the mistake that I was making often was I was waiting too long to start flattening out and picking up velocity because I was so afraid of overheating and blowing up. The secret to this was actually doing it lower to the ground. Now, let's talk about a couple of crutches people are falling into nowadays. So, since as you're going up in altitude, your engines start to lose massive amounts of thrust, regardless of how much intake you have. Just, cause. A lot of people are making really overpowered SSTOs. I mean, 4, 5, 7, 8 engines. Veyos made one the other day with 16 engines. But of course, that thing's huge, so it needs them. And that's never really been my thing, the ginormous SSTOs. I've always liked the little ugly ones. So here's, for the new patch, my little ugly one. As you can see here, I have 2 intakes. I have just one engine, and I have a lot of rocket fuel tanks, but no jet fuel yet. Well, that's why I love this little wing here. It's fat, it's ugly, but it can take 100 units of fuel on each wing, which is more than enough. It also provides quite a bit of lift. So I'm gonna work that in so that it's not sticking out so far. I'm going to rotate it a bit so that the tip is still sticking out on the front. There we go. That looks good. It's not too far away. There it is. That's good. Now you might think to yourself, that's a plane? Well, yeah, it is. It's kind of a lifting body, and it does work. The new aerodynamics pack does allow the parts here to create lift, and even these stubby little wings will get me off the ground and keep me flying. So you guys were probably expecting me to staple swift wings under this, but I'm not gonna. Now this does not give me any control though, so I'm gonna put 2 of these on here. And believe it or not, that's pretty much it for the aerodynamic portion. It's okay balanced, it has fuel. Alright. So the only other thing we need now is landing gear. So I'm going to put some landing gear here on the outer parts of the wing. Let's put it like that. Let's see, let's sit far enough behind the center of mass. Yeah, I have a feeling it would topple over if I left it like that. And of course it's crooked. So I'm going to straighten it out. That looks pretty good. And of course we're going to need one here in the nose. That's not bad. I mean, having it be tilted up like that's not such a bad thing, but maybe not so much. Let's scoot it up a little bit. There we go. Just one tiny little precaution. I am gonna put a thermovoltaic on there just cause. Let's give it an interesting name. Let's call it. I'll call it the Hawk 1 because I love me my Hawk. That's what I've been flying on EVE Online the last couple of days. So. Now, of course, I mess up, because that's what happens when you're recording stuff in a video. And I forget to do the action groups. We're only going to do 2 action groups. We're going to, and one, switch the mode. I'm not going to disable automatic switching. I like that. But I am going to close the RAM intakes with 2 and switch the engines to 1. There we go. Okay. Sure can make them ugly, can I? They're easy to take off if you put the back landing gear where it needs to be. So here's where I start ripping off Veos profusely, and we're going to go up at a pretty good angle. In the lower atmosphere, at lower velocities, it has a lot of thrust. Now, as soon as we cross this, which is at about 7, then we need to have speed in order to have thrust. So when we break the speed of sound, then the intakes and the engine kick in and you start accelerating. So you can kind of get stuck. You can be above 7 kilometers but lower than the speed of sound, and then you're just not really accelerating. Or you're accelerating really slow, which doesn't help you with the fuel consumption. Now, in the video that I saw this technique from Veos, he was just going full burn through the entire thing. And that's okay if your craft are really well designed, but if they're kind of a little flying brick with flimsy gear like mine is, that's not going to work. They're going to overheat and blow up. So the way that I do that, and you don't have to have the heat bars on to see it and do it, I'll kind of show you my trick to it. So after we've gone above 7,000 meters, I'm going to flatten out, and hopefully this thing will break the speed of sound soon, and then you'll see the acceleration start to really kick in. Okay, picking up speed nicely, and we should actually start picking up speed faster and faster. There we go. So after 400 meters per second, the combination of the rams and the one engine really start to get us going fast. Now this is where we might start getting in trouble with the heat. So as soon as I see these white things start to turn to fire, and you see how fast we're picking up speed now? Like right now, I'm going to lower it to 2/3 throttle. I might want to go a little bit lower if things start visibly overheating a lot. But I'm going to keep the same heading, just less throttle, so that I'm not speeding up so dang fast and picking up so much speed. If I get to the point that I can barely see the ones fly by like it is now, I might lower it a little bit more. I really don't want this thing to overheat. But we're still picking up altitude, we're still picking up speed, and that's all we really need. So I'm gonna play with my throttle here so that I'm still picking up speed at an okay pace, not, you know, flying through these numbers. I'm gonna check my fuel. So each of these tanks has 100 of dedicated fuel, which means 200. If I take 200 away from 560, that means that as long as I'm above 360, I'm fine. I don't care. I still have quite a bit of fuel to play with before I have to switch to rockets. The air intake is still holding. The fact that we have one engine makes that easy. Now I'm picking up speed okay because the altitude is starting to cut my engine's power. So I can probably go back to full burn now, and as you see, barely things are starting to overheat, even though I'm still picking up speed like crazy and still picking up altitude. Okay, so now there's almost no air, and I'm not really picking up speed that fast, so I will hit 2 to shut down the intakes, and that will force the engine in air breathing mode. I didn't lose anything on drag because the intakes were already shut down by the time the engine kicked in, so I didn't lose any energy there to drag. I'm so high up in the atmosphere that it shouldn't be overheating much. I mean, if this craft can survive orbital insertion through heat using this little technique of flying it, anything will. I mean, it's that easy. This craft, I guarantee it 100% would not have survived going full burn from 7. It would have overheated and blown the wings off ages ago. So now we're crossing another 30s, and our speed is really up there. I'm gonna keep it almost flat on the prograde, I'll start looking on the map. And at about 90, over 90, in this case 100, I'm going to cut the engine. And we are going to coast into space. I mean, I got a little heat going on there. I know these crash the game, but they don't do it that often, and I wasn't able to figure out how to turn them off. I'll turn them off later, though. I'll watch Scott Manley's video or something and figure out how to turn them off in a little while. So, while we're waiting for this thing to coast into space, well, of course I'm going to put it so it keeps prograde and then do time acceleration. Oh, don't wobble. Oh, whatever, wobble away. Let's do some fuel calculations. So, we have 154 left of liquid fuel. That divided by 9 means we have 17.3 units, the unified standard, which I made up. And then we have 94 units of oxidizer. Okay, I hear music. So that divided by 11 means 8.5. So I have about 9 extra units of fuel, which means I have about 81 of leftover fuel that has no oxidizer to account for it. That means that when I come back into the atmosphere, I can make a powered landing, because of course something with this little wings wouldn't be able to land very well. So yeah, our periaps has stayed up towards the 90s. That's great. Let's circularize this. '93, '94, and that's great. So there you have it. The simplest SSTO I know to build with the new patch. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 parts. And it's a perfectly functional, 100% heat and pretty efficient way to get somebody into space. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you have any questions about anything I'm doing, comment down below. Oh, there it is. And the game crashed just as I was doing that. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Thank you guys very much for watching, and fly safe.